Super excited to have you all. As you know, we've been doing bi-weekly Tuesday talks where we invite speakers that are experts in their field, as well as coaches that have really helped agents take their business to the next level. Today, I am super excited to have Clara Capano with us. She has been in the business, in the coaching business since 2004. She officially became a Ninja licensed coach in 2019 and has been running her business ever since. So she's been an entrepreneur in real estate for a long time. And now she's also become an entrepreneur in the coaching industry. We've had such a great relationship with her. She really understands our business. So we're super excited for her to bring this content to you and really, really help. So if we go on to the next slide, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Radius. I know some of you have been regular at our events, so may know this already, but some of you are new. So for background, Radius has been around since 2015. We are a community, a network of real estate agents and brokers. We have about 60,000 agents on our network, and we host events such as these, and we provide leads, and it's a very strong referral network and a great place for agents to connect with each other. Referrals is the lifeblood of anyone's business, and we have created an incredible marketplace for agents to exchange referrals with each other as an extension of the community. And then in 2018, we launched Radius Assist. So if you are paying for any type of online leads, whether it's Facebook, Google, Zillow, Trulia, you name it, we have an integration set up, and our team based in Broomfield, Colorado, will give your leads a call, text them, follow up with them, act as your extension, and set up appointments for you. So our goal is that you should focus your time on the most important parts of your business. And chasing down a lead that may or may not be interested is not the most important part of your business. It's about, the steps that come after that. So that's Radius Assist. And as you've seen, the technology that we've built, the community that we've built, in 2020, we launched a brokerage. So in Colorado and California, we are now licensed. And we have about 50 agents that are part of this brokerage now. And our goal is, one, to provide leads. So we give you extra income in your business. Second, to provide the tech to really take that to the next level. And then third is something we've added on, which is helping you build your personal brand. So whether you're a team leader, whether you're an agent, we'll work with you to develop what that brand, that identity, that logo, everything looks like, and really help you with taking that business to the next level. So that is us in a nutshell. I will now hand it off to Clara, our incredible speaker today, and she is going to tell you what describes a champion.
Thank you so much. Again, this is my first event with you, first of many to come. And it was so great talking with you a few weeks ago and learning about Radius. And that's how we came up with this topic together, because what an amazing company. You don't become a champion just on your own. It's about surrounding yourself with support, leadership, and community. I saw that word community so many times on the previous slide, and really taking you, because we are not here to just be average. We are here to go to that next level. And when I heard the words empower, stepping into your greatness, going above and beyond, that is what it means. And we want to start talking about how, as business owners, not simply just real estate agents, do we take it into the next level of become a champion. So again, my name is Clara Capano. I've been in the real estate industry since 1993. And I love that Radius is both in California and Colorado, because those are my two homes. I'm a California girl, born and raised. I relocated to Colorado in 95, and now I go back and forth between the two. But my career in real estate really started in the Boulder, Colorado area. And I worked on a high performance team before I went into leadership, and then eventually into training and coaching, which is where I focus most of my attention now. And I love when I'm able to align myself with companies that understand it's more than just about selling real estate. It's about coming together. It's about relationships. It's about adding value. And I think all of you that are here that have affiliated yourself, or even just here learning about Radius, I think you're in a great position, because they definitely are committed to help you go from being merely just average to really taking it up a notch to being a champion. So let's talk about what it means to be a champion. A champion is someone that has that passion and is fighting for a cause. You know, in our case, it could be real estate, but it also could be the passion of teaching people home ownership, you know, standing up and again, building the community and bringing it together. There's someone that understands we can't give up and we have to keep getting up, even in the face of adversity. You know, this last year has taught us this, you know, in a stage where we are going through a pandemic, you know, so many agents, this is where they grew. They really learned how to pivot and how to, you know, rebrand themselves and stand up. And, you know, taking it forward in having class and modeling excellence in everything they do. You know, one of the things that I love to teach people as they build their business of real estate is it's about the relationships that they can leverage and cultivate along the way. Because, you know, in real estate, we are looking for sustainability long term. And it's these relationships that we build. And it's how do we add value to our people, not just during the transaction, but also between the transaction. Because a champion knows it's not just about today, it's about the long-term relationships that we build. And knowing that when we close, we're not going to go away, we're going to continue to be there for them and develop the habits of a champions that we do. Because a champion, they don't really do extraordinary things. Oftentimes they do the ordinary things without thinking, because it's about the habits and it's about the consistency behind them. So what we really want to do is we want to look deeper and start talking about, are we developing the habits and the disciplines that are going to allow us to achieve that level of being a champion, not just one day, not just 2 days, but consistently throughout the business that we develop. The reason it's important to understand our habits and how important our habits are to developing into a champion is because we spend about 70% of our time in our habits. That's great news if we have good habits, but what if our habits are not so great? You know, think about this morning, if you got up and took a shower, you know, oftentimes we don't have to think about those things, but then how can we bring that into our business? You know, we want to make sure that when we get up and we have a morning routine, that when we work with our buyers and sellers, the processes that we have, that we are following them consistently, because we want to save that brain power for those higher level decisions, the higher level problem solving that we need as a trusted advisor for them. So we want the core foundational activities to be habitual for us so that we are running them with ease and making it seem effortless. The truth about behaviors is that, or about habits, is that they drive our behaviors. You know, 98% of our behaviors are controlled by our non-conscious brain, which is where our habits live. When we are in habits, our brain doesn't have to think about it. So we sort of go on autopilot. You know, we want that to be in there because then it becomes a system, and the system can run with little effort and give us those high levels and that high performance that we want. We have to also understand they're a benefit and they can be a curse. You know, again, the habits are great if they are good habits, but we want to really start paying attention to, are there habits that maybe we need to change or adjust to open us up? Because our brain cannot differentiate between a good habit or a bad habit. Our brains are designed to be computers, and they will find solutions for whatever it is that we tell them. So if we are looking for good habits, that's what we're going to seek out, and we want to maintain that we are constantly doing. Also, our habits are so important in running a successful business, because when something is a habit, it becomes a craving. You know, my morning routine is one of my best habits. It's one of my secret weapons. So when I go away on vacation, sometimes I still do my morning habit because I love it so much, but I don't follow it to a T. But when I come back from vacation, it's almost like a craving to get me back into my routine, because that's where my comfort zone starts to live. So we want to make sure that we're laying the foundation with these strong habits that are going to support us in being a champion and really starting to do that. So one of the things I want you to start thinking about is, who is it you need to become? You know, we asked you earlier to put in some words of what does it mean for someone to be a champion? Think about what that means for you. We are going in, it's the first week of April. We're going into our second quarter. Start thinking about the next 90 days. What does it mean for you to be a champion over the next 90 days? and start thinking about, okay, if I want to step into greatness and if I want to become that champion, what are some of the habits and the disciplines I need to start running so that I can make sure that I am laying the foundation to be able to show up each and every day as that person? Because we know that habits, good and bad, they can be changed. So you don't need to worry about if they have to stay the same forever. You have the benefit of being able to adapt them for your surroundings and know that it's all about progress, not perfection. So we're going to go over and we're going to teach you some of the ways to not just identify the habits you want, but give you some tools as to allow you to help you make those habits that are going to turn you into a champion stick. Because it's not just about creating them, it's about making sure we can run them with consistency. Now, one of the best books that is out, and there's lots of books on habits, it is called Atomic Habits, and it's written by a gentleman named James Clear. It was one of those ones that went viral last year at this time, right when we went into COVID. And several of the books about habits talk about this, but he really talks about something called the habit loop. And what happens is we have a cue or a trigger that sets us in a routine, into a habit. And then that habit is going to give us a reward, positive or negative. So we want to start paying attention to not just the habits that we're running and if they're good or bad, but what is the trigger point that starts it all? Because sometimes it's in paying attention to that to understand the habits that we are going into. Because what happens is it's that cue that sets the routine in motion. And then it's the reward that supports it. You know, they become automatic. Remember, we don't have to think about them 70% of the time. So often what we need to do is we need to start identifying what needs to be adapted because the cues are still going to happen. It's in that middle section that we need to start taking them, because if we can control that middle part, that is where we are going to be able to set the stage for the rewards that we want. The cues are not going to go away. It is all in how we approach those cues, how we approach those triggers, and how we adapt to them. That's going to get us to the rewards that we want and control the habit. So the key of controlling is to really look at that middle part, because almost any behavior can be transformed. Any reward can be achieved if we can change that middle part to make sure we are setting ourselves up for success. So here's an example of how it works. And I'm going to give you an example of real life, and then I'll bring it into how it can help us in our business. So maybe the cue that I'm feeling is I'm a little bit bored today, or I'm a little bit sad today. So I wake up and that's how I'm feeling. That trigger point is going to lead me into a loop. And what I might do is I might go grab some food. And then that food is going to make me feel good in the short term, but it's going to give me a negative reward because it's going to, wean off when the sugar high goes away, or in 90 days when I get on the scale and I haven't lost any weight. What I want to do is I want to take control of that middle part. I still might get bored. I still may wake up some days and feel sad, but rather than grabbing that cupcake or those cookies, maybe I want to go out for a walk. Maybe I want to change the loop to say, I'm going to get on the phone and talk with a friend. So I am still feeding myself. I am still bringing it, but I'm bringing in more of a positive habit, which then is going to make me feel good more long term, because it's going to get my endorphins going and it's going to help me be healthier. So you can see the reward and the cue are still there, but it's how I approach it that changes, that can lead it to more long-term satisfaction. So let's talk about this with work. Maybe the trigger that I have right now is I'm a little bit frustrated because I have no business. But I go into the middle section and I feed that by going into distractions. I go on social media. I look at videos. Maybe I distract myself with taking classes, thinking that that is going to help me and motivate me. But again, it's a small term and it doesn't last forever. It's not creating that long-term effect that I want. So maybe what I want to do here is, if I'm feeling frustrated because I don't have business, rather than feeding into the distractions, what I want to do is feed into my activities. So now maybe what I do is, again, I pick up the phone and I start making phone calls. Or maybe I go to a networking event, or maybe I invite people and say, hey, anybody want to go and grab coffee with me? And then I'm able to have the positive reward of building relationships, of having connections, of entering into conversations where I can learn about people, I can be a resource to them, and that eventually will learn to business, which will then start to change everything. And then we get in that cycle, because we have to understand that energy brings energy, and we want to be able to make the changes that we need to do these. I've had some people with the habits, one of the habits that they wanted is they wanted to read more books rather than watch TV. So what they would do is, when they didn't have any business, or maybe they were tired after a long day of work, that was the cue. They would sit down in their couch, and normally what they would do is then reach for the remote control, because that was the habit. Reach for the remote control, watch TV. They would tell themselves, I should be reading a book. But we all know what happens. The book is upstairs or in another room, and we're not going to go get it, even though it's only a few steps away. So they knew they needed to change that middle section. So what they did is they took the remote control and they moved the remote control into another room, and they put the book on the table where the remote control was. Now, when they came in and they sat down in their couch, same trigger, they could change the habit, because now when they would reach, the book would be there and the remote would be someplace else. So again, sometimes it's doing these. Maybe it's having your call list queued up. Maybe it's in having a meeting set with one of your peers or one of your leadership team at Radius, so that you can reach out to them and work with them. Maybe it's having a meeting with an accountability partner, something that is going to bring you in and keep you in the positive loop of being able to move forward and keep that sustainability of action going together. So it's really looking at how can we do positive habits in that middle section, because that's what's going to take us on the path to take us into being a champion. I love this quote. And the first time I heard this, it really just hit something inside of me, because we all have the power to tell our futures. Are the habits you have today on par with the dreams that you have for tomorrow? So I ask you the same question I asked you a few minutes ago. Who is it you want to become? What does it mean for you to be a champion? And are you running the habits today that are going to lead you down the path of becoming that champion tomorrow? Because when you know those habits and you show up and you run those habits and you run those disciplines daily, the champion persona, all of those rewards, all of those will take care of themselves when you focus on the right habits. So one of the things that I do all the time when I'm not working or on the road is I study champions. I study successful people. I read their books, I listen to podcasts, I follow them. And here are some of the things that I have noticed. One of the things that they do is they are in charge of their time. They really schedule, they really time block. They have learned what they need to say yes to and what they say no to, because whoever controls your time will control your life and your business. They are very strategic. They have understood that they are a CEO of their own business. So it doesn't matter if you're in real estate, lending, a teacher, a cop, it doesn't matter. You are the CEO of your business and your life, and you need to start showing up as such. So they are very strategic. They look at their day before it starts to say, where does my focus need to be? What do I need to time block today? What distractions do I need to be prepared for, so that they can go into their days with purpose? They exercise daily, and exercise is both mental and physical. They get their bodies moving because, again, they know that they need to have that energy to keep going, but they exercise their mind with the next one of growing. You might have heard the phrase, you're either growing or you're dying. So making sure that, again, you're doing things, you're reading, you're listening to podcasts, you're attending these great trainings that Radius has put together to support you in being a champion, but you are constantly growing. Find other agents that are doing what you want to do, whether they are local or whether they are not. Again, you have a great community of people in other areas. Listen to these people, follow your other radius agents, reach out to them, pick their brains. How are they running successful open houses? How are they converting their leads? How are they talking to their sphere? What kind of events are they having? Follow your peers on Facebook, see what they are doing on social media, but grow and learn daily. Know that you're gonna have to fail, and that is okay. Early on in my career, when I was working on our team, we were closing 400 to 500 transactions a year. So we were busy. You know what we were doing? We were also making mistakes because it's human. And the more deals you do, the more mistakes you might make. But my team leader had the foresight to say, there are no mistakes. And in fact, she encouraged us every week in our team meetings to share our golden moments for the prior week. Our golden moment was basically, what did I screw up last week? And what did I learn from it so I can grow? Champions, there's a difference between just being a champion and a winner. And somebody brought this up in, earlier, it's about being a winner. A winner does great when they're winning, but a champion understands it's about the getting up. Not everything is going to be beautiful. Not everything is going to be smooth. And a champion understands it's not about the falling down. It's about getting back up and learning. And for those of you that might be night owls, I have to tell you, most successful people are early risers. They love to get up and get a jump on their days. It gives them a time to ground themselves, to really get their focus together, and again, get into the strategy of their day. So I really encourage you, I'm not saying you need to get up at 5 a.m., but really protecting your mornings. My morning routine, I am an early riser. I usually have between 5 and 5:15, but my morning routine has become my secret weapon because I know for a fact that when I get up and I get into my day, I run it with so much more purpose. My energy is there. I can feel it in the connections that I have for the rest of the day. And I really see a difference in my level of productivity. So I encourage you, look at these now. Take a snapshot of this picture. How are you doing? Which of these habits do you have? Which ones maybe do you need to work on? Maybe look at each of them and kind of look at them on a scale of 1 to 10. How are you doing on a scale of 1 to 10 of being in control of your time, being strategic, exercising, growing, and doing these things? Again, the goal is progress, not perfection. So if you're a 2, how can you get to a 3? How can you get to maybe a 5 in the next 90 days? But take time to do those. And then the other thing they know, and I save this one for last because it's really important, they understand they cannot do it all. So champions understand that you have to start saying yes intelligently, which really means you need to learn how to say no. Because when you say yes to everything, it doesn't leave you the opportunity to always do the right things. So don't be afraid to say no to the things that are not going to position you to really focus on the things that you need to do. So some of the things that I see, poor habits, being what I call the Pop-Tart. You can't be strategic when you're the Pop-Tart. The Pop-Tart wakes up in the morning, they're like, oh, what am I supposed to do today? Again, you can't be a CEO of your own business if you're being reactive in everything you're doing. See this all the time, and especially right now. You know what, guys, I work with people all across the country, as well as in Canada. It's crazy. I get it, but you still got to take some downtime. Even if it's 2 minutes a day, you have got to rest your brain and turn off the noise. Our clients need us to take time off because we cannot show up with purpose and with the energy that we need, and we are going to get burned out if we do not take some time off. So I encourage you, as much as you can, take time off midweek if you need to. A half an hour here, a half day, take your vacations. It is not selfish. It is some of the best things that you can do. Multitasking. Multitasking does not exist. And in fact, what happens when we multitask, studies have shown, and there's a lot of studies out there if you want to research this, studies have shown that when we multitask, when we're typing a contract and on the phone, when we're watching a Facebook feed and doing text messages, it takes us 3 times longer to do something, and we do it with 50% greater error. So think about being a trusted advisor. Think about being a champion. Does a champion do things with 50% greater errors and rush through things? No. So we've got to stop doing that and get our focus. Again, you got to take care of yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good cheeseburger. I love a glass of wine, but your body's just not going to perform unless it's at its peak performance. So eat and put snacks in your car. You know, you don't want to get hangry. And sometimes we go out and we think we're going to be back in an hour and a half, and 5 hours later is when we get home. We live in our cars so much. So put some granola bars in there, put some apples in there, energy drinks, sandwiches. Make sure you don't want to just be eating on the go. Take care of yourself. You are your greatest asset. And if you are burned out, if you are sick, run down, you cannot serve. And then also taking on the wrong clients. We cannot work with everyone. Our processes are not designed to help everyone. And that is okay. Doesn't mean you always have to say no. It doesn't mean you need to be mean. But sometimes it's just telling them, you know what? You know who really is better equipped to help you in this area is my friend Joe. Let me connect you with him. You know, identify who your target audience is. Where is it that you want to work? And I'll give you an example where I live. I live in Colorado. I live in Boulder County. On the other side of Denver, you know, you have areas and suburbs like Parker and Highlands Ranch. It's about 45 minutes away from me. Could I work that area? Yes, I very easily could jump in my car and go work that area. But it's not where I should be focusing. It's a different market. It's a different way of doing business. It's different price points, different school districts. If somebody that I know wants to go and buy or sell a house there, I cannot give them the highest level of service because I don't know those neighborhoods. It is better for me to connect them with an expert in those areas and refer the deal out. Yes, I am going to give up commissions, but it's about what's best for them long term. So again, understand, you've got to be able to say yes intelligently. And that sometimes means saying no to the people that you can't serve at the highest level. It's about working with the right people who trust you, who trust your process, and who you can give the best quality service to. So let's go back and look at these and start thinking about them. Do you have the habits of a champion? So I want you, we're not done yet. I want you now though, just to think about the next 90 days. What are maybe 3 habits you want to work on? Let's go back and let's look at these. What are maybe 3 of these that you want to focus on in the next 30 days, 90 days to help you move into being a champion? So I'm just going to give you about 30 seconds to just kind of maybe jot down some notes. What are the 3 that you want to commit to having progress in? And maybe if you want to be an earlier riser, maybe you want to go from waking up at 7 to waking up at 5:30 or 6. Maybe it's doing it in increments. You know, maybe it's exercising. You know, maybe it's being more strategic. Maybe you want to sign up for a class. But go ahead and just look at, you know, what are some of the ones that you really want to work on here so that you can set yourself up better. And when we come back to the end and we do our questions, I want to hear some of these. So maybe even put them in the chat box and we can revisit some of them and build some accountability around those together. So now let's talk about making our habits stick. I mentioned earlier, you know, we all can control our futures. We know our destinies because the truth is, and I've been, again, in real estate since 1993, so I've been following this. So much of our business is a result of what we did 90 days ago, meaning that the habits and the people that I talk to today are going to show up in my business in 90 days from now. So you have got to start laying a foundation for where you want your business to go. So you've got to start paying attention to these things. So some strategies for you. The first one is what I call pair it. You know, sometimes it's easier to do a habit, especially if we're changing a habit, to pair it with something else. Maybe you want to combine it with something. So maybe one of yours is to have growth. So maybe you want to listen to a podcast when you're on a treadmill. I oftentimes listen to my podcast in the morning when I'm out taking my dog for a walk. Maybe if you want to give yourself a reward and you want to binge watch a TV show, maybe you do that again while you're, folding laundry. So again, pair it together. When it comes to business, updating our database, it's something we need to do. Our database is the central nervous system to our business. But I have yet to meet anybody who says, oh, I got into real estate because I so am excited to sit down and put my database together. For most of us, it's not the most enjoyable thing. So when I do mine, I'm playing really great music. So it pumps me up and it keeps me energized. Sometimes making our calls can be challenging. So maybe pair it and, have a great cup of coffee to do it. Maybe, pair it with, having something else, that you're doing together, maybe an event. But oftentimes, if you bring it together and you do it with something else that is enjoyable, it's easier to be able to push through and to work on these. So sometimes if we pair it, it's a lot easier to keep it sustainable in what we are doing. The next one is you've got to schedule it. There is a really great book called Take the Stairs and Procrastinate on Purpose. And they're written by a gentleman named Rory Vaden. And he talks about this, but you've got to schedule things to do it. Because when we schedule things, they become a priority. I can sit down. One of the things that I'm doing right now is writing my third book. And I can sit down and say, oh, I'm going to write. Writing is definitely a habit that I want to do. I want to write every day. And that's a priority. But if I don't schedule time to do it, I'm probably going to fill that time with something else that isn't a priority. So you've got to start thinking about, what am I going to work as far as growth? When am I going to have a habit of making my calls? My morning routine is in my schedule because the things that get scheduled get done. So you want to make sure that whatever habits you have, skill set building, all of these, you block out time for them and it becomes an appointment. Yes, you can move your appointment if it makes good business sense, but you want to make sure that you're putting these things in your schedule. So looking at those three that we talked about, make sure that you're scheduling time to support you in getting those items done. I love this quote from Ryan Seacrest. Nobody is too busy. It's just a matter of what they make a priority. One of the things that I look at when I study successful people, they have no more time than the rest of us. We all have the same amount of time, 168 hours a week. The difference between being average and being a champion is a champion knows how to not just use their time, but leverage their time for greatness. And you've got to make these things a priority because if you want to have the business tomorrow, remember, it depends on what you are doing today. So schedule the right things today, and that will give you the results in the business that you want tomorrow. Number 3, you can't do it alone. You've got to get accountability. Accountability, it will give you a sense of integrity because, again, it allows you to show up and follow through on what you are doing. It will stretch you because it puts you on the spot because somebody else is watching you and paying attention to you. It's something that you've committed to. And it does put that fire in your belly and it keeps your feet moving and it keeps you moving forward. Now, I am a coach. I've been a coach since 2004. I believe in coaching. I have 3 coaches right now that I pay in addition to an accountability partner that I check in with on a daily basis. So I'm not just one to sit up here and say, get a coach, get an accountability person. I live it and I do it too. So here are some things to keep in mind when you are working on finding someone to have you accountable, because you don't need to pay someone to be your coach. If you want to, that's great, but you can find accountability partners. First of all, it's got to be somebody else other than you. You've got to have that external person that you can either meet with or connect with. Sometimes I just connect with them over email and just say, I'm up, I got this done, because you want to make sure that you're working with that. You've got to have trust with them. Sometimes your accountability partner should not be your best friend because they let you hide and they let you off the hook. One of my accountability partners, when I was working on my first book, and this was back in 2017, I was talking about all my ideas and everything like that. And she's like, these are all really great ideas, but I'm kind of tired of hearing about them. Are you actually going to do anything? And some people might say, well, that sounds pretty harsh. But because I trusted her and I knew she was coming from a place of love, I needed her to push me. So you've got to have someone that you can trust that is going to push you when you need to be pushed. You've got to give them real accountability. Bring it down to specifics. Hold me accountable to writing for 30 minutes a day. Hold me accountable to one phone call a day. Hold me accountable to being up by 6:30 every morning. Make it real. Plan when you are going to meet with them. Set the appointment. We're going to meet on Thursdays between 8 and 8:30. Or I need to email you my plan for the day by 7 a.m. and keep it consistent. You've got to have these set times in. Again, it's got to be a priority. Have some real targets that you're working with. In 90 days, these are the things that I want to achieve. So this week, I need to have you hold me accountable to these items. And then have consequences, positive or negative. Know what works for you. One of my coaching clients, when I was working with her, one of the things that she wanted me to hold her accountable to was writing her blog. And she had identified by the end of the year, by December 31st, and this was going into our fourth quarter, she said, in this quarter, I need to have no less than X amount of blogs written. And she wrote me a check for $250 to give to an organization that was on the opposite spectrum of what she believed in. And she instructed me, if I do not hit my targets, you will send that check on December 31st to that organization, because that negative consequence kept her going. For some people, it's looking at their credit card statements because they want to pay off their credit cards. For some people, it's, doing something that they don't want to do. I had something built with one of mine. We both love comedy shows. And what we did is we identified and bought tickets to a comedy show. And the idea was we had our targets. If both of us met the target, then we both paid for our own ticket. If one of us met the target and the other one didn't meet the target, and the person who didn't meet the target had to pay for both tickets. So you can bring in some fun things, you pair it together, and bring it in there and have some accountability with it. But really look for someone, again, who's going to be truthful for you, who's not going to let you hide, who's not going to let you be average, and is going to pull you out and say, you committed to being a champion, and I'm going to help you get there. Again, your company is here. Share your goals. Find somebody in your company to help you with your accountability, because they are there and designed, and they have made the commitment to take you from being average to being a champion as well. Strategy number 4 is you've got to track it. How are you going to know if you're getting better unless you measure things? So you've got to know where you are going. You've got to start looking at the truth. So track your habits. There's a great saying that I love: focus on your productive habits and your productivity will take care of itself. So track. If your habit is getting up earlier, track the days that you're getting up earlier. If your habit is to make more contacts, track your contacts. If your habit is to do 3 social media posts, track them. Have some sort of weekly planner or tracking system to make sure you're doing that. This is also important because remember we talked about the 90-day cycle? In 90 days, I want to look at where I am, because if I get to 90 days from now, if I like where I am, I want to go back and say, what did I do that brought me the success? Because I want to make sure I continue doing those things. If I don't like where I am today, maybe I need to make some adjustments. Maybe I need to recommit, or maybe I need to, stop doing some of the things that I wasn't doing at the right level. So tracking it will give you a lot of clues as to how to move forward. It'll really give you the truth in what you are doing. So some keys to doing it: again, define what it is that you need to track, how you are spending your time, how many hours you are working, whatever it is that you need to do. Track your activities, face-to-face appointments, coffees, lunches, listing consultations, buyer consultations, whatever it is. Track your calls or your contacts. Whatever it is that you feel you need to do to get you the results that you want, that's what you need to start tracking. You got to make it easy. Again, pair it, get accountability, but make it easy, because if it's too difficult, you're not going to do it. As simple as move the remote control and put the book down. One of the things that I do with my morning routine, one of my habits is writing my daily goals and daily affirmations. So it's really easy. Here is my book. I sit down at my desk. It's right here. As I was making it a habit, what I did is this book was on my chair, because I knew when I came into the office in the morning, I had to touch it and I had to move it. And I knew if I touched it, I would write in it. Now it's a habit and I don't have to worry about it as much. Another habit that I have are doing handwritten notes. So right next to me, I have my box of my handwritten notes and all my stamps. I make it easy. Another habit I have right now is drinking water. Here's my water bottle. And on it, it has little time things telling me how much I'm supposed to drink throughout the day. I have water bottles throughout my house. I actually have 3 of them on my desk right here, because I need to make it easy. So if I run out, I always have something else that is right there. So make it easy, and then you've got to run them consistently. So this is why I bring it down. I encourage you to start with 3 main habits. If you have too many, it's going to overwhelm you. So identify just a few that you really want to focus on, carve out the time and do them consistently. Then you can add them in, because remember, they will start to run on autopilot for you, so that you can bring new ones in to help you. And then again, you can't give up. Remember, champions, even though we fall down, you've got to keep going. You're going to have days where you fall off track. I have days where I don't drink the water that I need. Don't beat yourself up. Just start back in. You're going to have days where you don't make any calls. You're going to have days where you oversleep, or you just don't want to get up. You know what? Accept it. Move on. You've got to learn to not harbor those things, because that's not going to serve you. Yesterday is gone. It's over. It's done. But too many of those days will lead up. So if you're having too many of those days, that's where, again, you bring it back to the accountability to help pull you out of it. But don't worry about it. If you fall down, dust yourself off and get back up in everything that you do. And I want to leave you with this. Life happens at the level of movement, not words. You can't just say you're going to be a champion. You've got to take the actions and actually make it happen. Focus on the productive activities. Focus on the productive habits, and the habits will take care, and the production will take care of itself. So that is what I have for you today. I would love to open it up. I see lots of comments in the chat box. I would love to open that up to questions that you may have. I would love to help in any way that I can. I would love to hear some of your takeaways. What are some of the strategies that you really like? So Sonia, I don't know if you want to run that and look at it, or if you want me to go through the chat box and how you want to handle that.
Yeah, I can go through it. Thank you so much, Clara. That was so helpful. It's whenever we do these sessions, I'm like, I know this is for realtors and I know that's the goal, but I take so much away from it. I mean, this was incredible. Thank you so much. And all the selection of quotes, I agree with you. Jay Lopez said that. So a lot of good feedback. Everyone says great presentation, great quotes. I did get a few questions. You mentioned your morning routine quite a bit. So I have like 2 people that ask, what is this morning routine? So can you tell us?
So your morning routine, it's really whatever is going to work for you. Your morning routine is sort of the foundation you want to lay to go into your day. So my morning routine is about an hour long. And I get up, and the first thing I do is I do my gratitudes. What are 3 things that I am grateful for today? Sometimes it's big ones, my family, my health. But sometimes it's little things like sleeping through the night, or a great cup of coffee, the sun that is shining today. So I always start with what are 3 things that I'm grateful for. Then I get up and I do some sort of exercise. I either go to the gym or I take my dog for a walk and I listen to podcasts. So I'm working on that growth because I like to pair it together. Mm-hmm. Then when I come back, I go into my office and I do my written affirmations. And I identify who I'm going to do some handwritten notes for. And then really the last thing that I do before I get into my day, that's when I start looking at my schedule for the day so I know where I'm going. And then I go into my voicemails and my emails. I really encourage people, do not open up your voicemail and your email the first thing in the morning, because the second you do, you're down the rabbit hole. And I like to get my mindset ready for the day. Now, for some of you, you may not have an hour. So your morning routine maybe could get up, do your gratitudes. Maybe you do some stretching. Maybe you want to read something motivational, and then you kind of get into your day. I have a 16-year-old son. I'm a single mom, so I share custody. But on the days that I have him, I used to have to take him to school. So I would sort of do everything. Then I would take him to school. Then I would come back, and that's when I would then jump into my day, because I usually wouldn't have calls until after that. But again, some people do meditation. Some people read scripture, so it's sort of, again, whatever it is that you need to do to get your day started. Now, I also have an evening routine. Now, my evening routine is much smaller. I like to just refer to it as bookending my days. So at the end of the day, I focus on the good things that happened, because you see, we go through the day, we get through the day, and we tend to focus on everything we didn't get done. And then we end the day beating ourselves up. Well, that's not going to do us any good. So I end the day by saying, what are 3 good things that happened today? So I sort of start my day with gratitude, and I end it with gratitude.
Yeah, got it. Okay, that's super helpful. Any other questions folks can keep adding in? The next question I have on here that I see is, you talked about those golden moments in terms of, these are the mistakes I made and this is what I learned from it. I have a question in here that says that that's easier said than done. Like, how, do you have any like tangible tips on like how to get back up when
and again, it's hard, and it doesn't feel good in the moment, but this is where journaling can come in. And so I really try to think about, okay, what did I learn from this? I had one yesterday. I wrote my weekly newsletter, and I wrote it and I emailed it to myself because I was on the plane. So I emailed it to myself, and then I uploaded it into MailChimp, which is what sends it out. Well, my computer restarted yesterday morning, and I thought it was in draft mode, but I guess it wasn't. So it sent out, and it had all these misspellings, and it was all garbled, and it looked terrible. So that was a mistake. But what did I learn from it? I learned, you know what? I'm not going to upload it to MailChimp until I actually have the time to polish it and hit send.
Yeah.
So, I could sit there and beat myself up all day and say, oh, it looks stupid, it's horrible, but there's nothing I can do about it. It's done. I've missed things on contracts. I've not been good with my inclusions and my exclusions as far as my verbiage, so it's like, you do that, but you have to, it's over, it's done. So you have to just sit there. You've got to reframe it, because focusing on it, and I mean, I beat myself up all the time, but I just chose, I'm not going to do that. Doesn't do me any good. And it's not good for my productivity. So it's okay. It's over. It's done. What did I learn? So a lot of times, it's in writing it down so that you can see the lessons that you've learned, because oftentimes we only have to do those mistakes once. And that's the good thing.
Right. Of course. Are there any other questions folks have? These are the 2 that I saw come in. You can chat in if there's anything else. Otherwise, in the meantime, Clara, if you can go on to the next slide, I just wanted to make sure everyone knows about the events that are coming up. Sorry, go ahead.
Real quick, though, I would love it if you guys want to stay connected. So my email, Clara Capano, is going to be up in like 2 days. So bookmark that and come back in 2 days. But or I'm sorry, my website, but my email is up, and then my TV show is up if anybody wanted to follow on that. But the website will be up in just a couple of days.
Nice. Yeah, and so we have 2 more events that are coming up. Tomorrow, April 7th, we are sponsoring an event with the Young Professionals Network locally at the Contra Costa Association of Realtors. So we'll have Michael Berdalis, our Director of Brokerage Expansion, talking at the event. So we'd love to see you there. And then the next, and we will send this registration link out. And then the next is our next Tuesday talk, which is on April 13th. And we're going to be talking about video marketing. So how do you capture attention, and then how do you keep it with video marketing? So super excited to have the founder of Liftoff Agent joining, and William Troutman, who's come up with an incredible introduction video for himself that he will be talking about. So we are so happy that you guys joined today. Please let us know if you have ideas of future events. We have a big calendar lined up. And and If you're not already, make sure to be registered on radiusagent.com, and our Instagram is right here as well. So thanks everyone. If you have, we'll stick around for a little bit if you have any more questions. Otherwise, excited to keep doing these with you. Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for letting me be here.
Thanks, Lara. You were incredible. We had so much fun.
Thank you. Good.
A lot of people saying thank you.
Thank you. It's always fun to share and give real tips to help people be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't realize you grew up in California. That's so exciting.
I did. I grew up in the Bay Area, San Jose and Santa Cruz, and now home is San Diego.
Oh, wow. So when you say home, you mean parents are there, or?
Well, yeah, that's like where my whole family's there. So it's kind of my second home is there. I was just there this last weekend. So I go back pretty often. And then when my son graduates, I'll go back there more full time.
Nice. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. All right. I will end this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.